No, in the moment, I didn't know if it was even going to work. The sun was going down. We had to get the shot off. And I was really just crossing my fingers and hoping.
Right. And how did this make you feel?
I mean, how would it make you feel? I had 12 lights running and I was on my own. I was stressed. I was really hoping that we got exactly what we needed because there was such a small window of twilight that we had to shoot at. We had to get the perfect time. It easily had to have been the most complex setup I've done, at least at the time.
Yeah, I can understand that. And okay, so hold on, let's just backtrack for a second. Explain to me, how did you exactly get yourself into this situation?
So that guy Nathan, right? Nathan McBride, he shot me a text. The text popped up on my phone and Nathan said, hey, do you want to light this scene for me? I've got this scene coming up. I've got this project coming up. Do you want to light this for me? Essentially, for lack of better words. And he asked me he said he's got this project coming up. It's a really cool project. He needs somebody to light a scene for him. And he said, I'm the guy. So me, cheesing and all happy and excited, I had to text him back and say, sure thing, of course I would light it. So that's kind of how we got there, how we got in that position. So it was Nathan was the director, the DP, and I was gaffing it. Yeah, I was the lighting guy.
Right, and then this Nathan, he texted you and he said that he wanted all of the lights turned off at the same time. Has that been done yet before? And you did
exactly.
This?
It was essentially two setups in one. We had to do like a night twilight, and we had to do like a tungsten housey interior all in the same shot.
No wonder you were stressed.
And again, I didn't know the sun was setting. It was bright when I was lighting it, and we needed to light for dark, but there was that little window to shoot in. So it was a lot. It's something I'd never done before.
And just out of curiosity, forgive me, my nephew, he's a photographer. He's 14, fantastic. He's starting photography. Could you tell me how you did this? Because I would love to tell him.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could. So I know that the concept was the light was going to turn off, right? We had all the house lights, the power went out, and the lights were all just going to turn off at once. So it's like, all right, well, we need the house to be warm and housey, so when the lights turn off, they're not warm and housey, it's twilight, it's blue. So I immediately started with just figuring out where our house was going to be lit up at. We had our talent sitting at a desk at a computer, so I knew we were going to have some sort of warm light there, and I just had some like cabinets that I knew I wanted to be warm, and I just wanted the house to feel cozy, right? Kind of like your office. I wanted it to be cozy, you know? The first light, we'll call it a key light. You can tell your nephew it's essentially the main light that's lighting your subject, right? So what I did was I took an Amaran, it's called an Amaran F22, and I put that outdoors actually. It was shining through the window, and I just put a grid on this. And by shining it through the window, I had it set to a warm 2700 Kelvin to emulate like just a warm house light. So that was coming in just as a desk lamp, adding to that practical that we had on the table. So we had a practical with an aperture B7 bulb in there. So kind of around our desk setup was that F22 shining a warm light in, and a little house bulb as well. So it's just making this warm little puddle of light there. And then in the front of the room, there was a little bit more warm spill coming from, say, the living room off to camera left. And what we'd added there was, it was an aperture Nova. It was a Nova P300, and I had that again to 2700 Kelvin, and I just had the source just shining into the room even more. So we just had kind of two warm sources off to the left, casting into the entire room.
And then, did you diffuse that light? What was it, the Nova? Did you diffuse it?
No, I didn't diffuse it. It was soft enough, and I just wanted it to fill the room with light, yeah.
Huh. Okay. Now, what about the upstairs? I think you mentioned there was upstairs. Did you light upstairs?
The upstairs? Oh, yeah. So it was a wide shot, and so we could see the upstairs. So upstairs, I needed a little bit more household light as well. So that light, I had a warm light upstairs again to 2700 Kelvin, and that was an Amaranth 300C that I just kept as the reflector dish, just shining into the rest of the room as well. So yeah, so I added in these like warm little pools.
I mean, if this were me, I mean, I'm not a professional, I'm a therapist, but I would have put it under the cabinets.
I just stuck little vanity lights. I had some of those Aperture MC Pros, and I stuck those, in cabinets. Yeah, in cabinets and cubbies and stuff like that. So I just had stacked them over on the left, and then into the kitchen, under the vanity and stuff like that. So we had this really nice, cozy, warm environment that I was going for.
But what happens when the power goes out? Because you mentioned the lights go out. What happens when it goes dark? What did you do?
I mean, well, when I was a kid, I used to, light candles and play board games and stuff.
As a person, did this darkness represent anything to you?
What? Oh, when the lights turned off. You're right. So we had the warm, cozy lights, right? But the power had to go out. That was like the lighting gag that was going on. So the power had to go out, which means that if we cut all of them off, the whole room would have just been dark. There wouldn't have been any room. There wouldn't have been any shape to the light. So we had to fake this like darkness kind of thing with lights. It's kind of contradicting, isn't it? Don't you think?
Okay.
So I actually use Sidus Link. If you've heard of Sidus Link, have your nephew download Sidus Link. It's like a phone app. Here, I'll show you. It's like this phone app, right, where you can adjust all the lights and everything from Bluetooth. So that's what we did. We had all the lights pieced together on Bluetooth, and I grouped them all at the same time. So every single light, the outside lights, the house lights, the upstairs lights, the little cabinet lights, I put those all into one group. So then when they called turn the lights off, I hit one button and all of them, like a power outage, all turned off at once. It was super cool. So once it was grouped and they were all turned off, we needed to make this darkness. So this was call it lighting setup number 2. This is our twilight lighting setup. But again, they had to be all there at the same time. It took a ton of fixtures. We had a lot of them all there at the same time. So let's talk about our key light for this. So we'll just trace our steps, you know. Our key light for when the night is out, we still needed to light our subject with call it moonlight. And that one I took, we had a balcony right outside, beautiful balcony, beautiful view of the valley. Doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. We had an Amaran 300C on that as well, and I stuck it up on this arm, and then I just shot it against some white bounce board. So by taking that and bouncing it, we were diffusing it and just making it like almost like I wanted a soft ambience, like the sky is just casting a very soft, gentle ambience. And this was at like a 6500 Kelvin, a very cool tone. So it almost just feels like ambient skylight coming through the window onto the desk. And then the same thing I did in that living room. You know how before we had that the Nova that was warm? We did the same thing with this one, and I took an Aperture 600C, and that's another color fixture. It's full color. Show your nephew, it's so cool. But we took this and I did the same thing. I put it on the ground and I shot it straight up against another 4x4 bounce board. So it shot up off the bounce board and then into the window, into the house. So it was really just casting a lot of big bounced ambience. And I bounced it because when you bounce light, it becomes very soft and very diffused and very spread out, kind of like how it would be from the sky.
The bouncing makes it softer?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that.
So those were the 2 lights that I had, and then upstairs we had that room upstairs again, and I took a Amaran F21C, and now I just stuck on. There was another balcony upstairs, beautiful house, balcony upstairs. Just shine that into the room as well. So these all lights were on 6500 Kelvin, so I just shined that into onto the bed and stuff that was up there, just to create more of this ambience, because you can't have light coming in the downstairs windows and everything dark upstairs. You got to keep everything the same. And at this point, it was just still too dark, you know? It needed a little bit more oomph to the room, a little bit more room tone. So we just took an Aperture 300D and I shot that straight up. The ceilings were big white ceilings and they were actually tilted a little bit. So it was like another one of those bounce boards. And I shot that straight off the ceiling.
It's a good idea.
And that was just creating like a over raining room tone, essentially, just light filling all of the dark shadows. And then that's all that we added for the lights. That's all. There was a lot of lights. There was a lot going on, but it was really cool because when all the warm lights shut off, we were still left with a really beautiful scene. You had the skylight in the background, and then you had the whole room was lit up this really nice monochromatic cool tone, and it was a really fun scene to light. And it was really, you know, it was complex. It was stressful because it was daylight when I was lighting it, and then we were getting it at night, and it was just really confusing and overwhelming. And how did we get here?
My nephew.
Your nephew, yeah. So, yeah, I hope, did you get all of that? I can send you this YouTube video if you want. Just might make it easier for him, you know. But that's really what we did. It was a really fun shoot to be a part of. Let me tell you, that was a lot of running around, but I loved doing it. You know, that's why I'm here. I'm not seeing you because of that. Of course not, no. Not because I just always work 12-hour long days and come home and want to cuddle with my dog and my girlfriend and that's it, no. Do you have beer?
Oh, look at that. Looks like we've reached our 60 minutes.
An hour already. Well, you know what to say, I'm a talker. I get it from my mom, so.
I'd say it's been quite a successful session here today. I'm gonna go tell my nephew how he can light his own scene when the power goes out, whenever he runs into that issue. Anyway, cheers. I'll see you next time. How to light a scene. This guy's pretty talented. I think he said he's got a YouTube. Brady Bassett on YouTube. Oh yeah, look at that. He's got some pretty good videos. I'm gonna have to send him to my nephew.